Hello my dear friends, and welcome back to another Star Wars news update. Today we have lots of little Star Wars tidbits to go through. Dave Filoni opened up about the villains of his upcoming Star Wars Mandalorian movie. He also spoke about Hayden Christensen. We're going to be talking about the Ahsoka show and lots more. But we begin with a new Jedi Order movie coming in 2026. Earlier in the week, Daisy Ridley revealed she was shocked when she found out the plot for the movie, and she implied it could be more than one movie. This could just be the start of something bigger, maybe another trilogy. I did cover the news at the time, but in today's opening segment, I want to talk about some comments Jon Favreau made months ago because they do connect to this new interview with Daisy. If we're in for another trilogy, then it's possible Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy might not be the only director. In fact, as crazy as it might sound, Jon Favreau might have his own interest in being part of it too. He might be given one of these installments. Just before the big reveal of Daisy's return at Star Wars Celebration back in April, Jon Favreau stated he would be interested in Lucasfilm's pursuit of post-Episode 9 stories. Here's what he said. There is definitely a conversation going on, and then what happens after the sequel trilogy, because the sequel trilogy only takes place over the course of a few years, and it's a big thing on the screen. Very eventful, he says. But it's a relatively brief moment in history over the course of thousands of years that Star Wars takes place in, and so what happens is interesting too, and I know there's some discussion and exploration going on about what takes place after it. So there are definitely some markers that we have, and he describes the Mandalorian universe as, quote, being part of connecting those dots. We know he's obsessed with the time period between episodes 6 and 7, but would he take on a Daisy Ridley Rey movie that is set after the rise of Skywalker, the middle installment of what effectively could be episodes 10, 11 and 12? I want to know what you guys think. Do you think a Jon Favreau directed and written Daisy Ridley Rey movie could be a salvaging point for the character? Do you think under his direction and his story, fans could be given a Rey Skywalker film that is beloved? Share your thoughts down below. And so moving on, Andor Season 2. All day yesterday, it was trending on twitter.com because someone posted the leaked trailer from Star Wars Celebration, or at least a clearer version taken on their phone. It isn't as blurry as some of the other ones that have been posted since April. Now evidently I cannot show you too much of this for copyright reasons, but it was incredible to see fans who didn't necessarily get to attend Star Wars Celebration back in London really react to this for the first time, and to see so much positivity for what Tony Gilroy's going to give us. One of the main criticisms I saw is that there aren't too many aliens, just like in Season 1. There were sporadic appearances on Ferrix, on Molana 1 with the bartender, we saw some on Neomos, but it is a very human-centric show. I spoke about the trailer literally the day after it dropped because I was there in London. But going back and rewatching this footage now, my reaction is simple. As Tamora Morrison said,
the trailer for Andor Season 2.
There are no words.
And in my case, just pure excitement. The quality of this show is out of this galaxy. Season 2 looks fire, more of the characters we love, there are some new senators, new planets, more uprisings, more Ferrix, more Mon Mothma, more Luthen. Filming is yet to resume, and we do have an update on this. Joplin Sibtain, who plays Brasso, on Instagram teased that filming and quotes getting back into it talking about Star Wars is going to progress shortly. This comes after Empire Magazine confirmed that Andor Season 2 is still coming in 2024. After months and months of uncertainty with the strikes, with rumours, it is still set for next year. You guys know, so much of my excitement for this next period of Disney Plus Star Wars depends on Season 2. There are so many reasons we as a fandom should be anticipating this with all our hearts. And on the subject of Andor Season 2, we were nearly duped. Some new footage from Pinewood Studios leaked over the weekend, where we see some snowtroopers, snow scouts, and Chopper. And many of us were over the moon. We assumed this is for Andor Season 2, we're getting Chopper, we're probably going to see the Ghost, we might be going to Hoth with the snowtrooper outfits, but it turns out it was for a career festival, nothing to do with an actual series. But with the second season of Andor resuming pretty soon, we will soon feast our eyes on legit set photos, behind the scenes stills. Okay, so now my dear friends, just before we talk about Dave Filoni, a really cool tidbit of Star Wars lore that connects to Ahsoka Season 1. One Star Wars character hinted at Star Wars' other galaxies almost 2 years before Ahsoka. In both Legends and recent canon, they've been referenced, especially in the Aftermath trilogy. But the source for this information is not what you expect. It might sound ridiculous, but bear with me. You guys remember the Galactic Star Cruiser, a big failure for Disney and Lucasfilm, which of course is now closed. But a Twi'lek entertainer called Gaia, who was part of the main cast of that Star Cruiser, was introduced as an intergalactic superstar. The title was clearly meant to be a spin on the Earth term of international superstar, but they went with intergalactic. I'm just going to make the assumption they didn't think this through too much, at least in terms of Star Wars lore. It was a loose and casual title they came up with on the top of their heads. But the character is canon and prominent during the Star Wars sequel trilogy, and they do state her reach spread to multiple other galaxies. They use the term intergalactic instead of intragalactic, simplifying the way Star Wars wanted to describe Gaia's galaxy-wide influence. And they're starting to weave the idea of intergalactic travel and connections between galaxies in a real way. Baylan Skoll mentioned that children's stories from the days of Coruscant, the Jedi Council, spoke in the mythologies of Peridia, and even on Star Wars' website, the episode guides. They made it sound as though intergalactic travel was not as rare as we might assume. And that's so exciting for what the future of Star Wars could give us. So it was mentioned prior to Ahsoka Season 1, and now with Dave taking on the new role he has as CCO, I wouldn't be too surprised if more intergalactic travel is referenced or even shown in other upcoming projects that don't necessarily have anything to do with the Mandoverse. And so now, my dear friends, while we're on the subject, some more words from Dave Filoni, this time addressing his Mandalorian era film. He says he doesn't want to just mirror the past, it has to be visually different. He's got a point. The appointment of Dave Filoni as Chief Content Officer at Lucasfilm has been met with mixed reactions from some fans, but the walking encyclopedia for the franchise is not letting any of that bother him. As he looks to the future of the space opera, the franchise he too loves dearly. In particular, this includes a feature film that is expected to conclude the Mandalorian story as we know it in its current iteration, as well as its spin-off stories. But Filoni now promises this movie is going to be something very different. It's not going to be the traditional offering of the 9 saga films. This is going to be something brand new. And in particular, he gave away some details, saying he's going to focus on the Remnant and the conflicts therein. This is the quote: "I'm setting up what seems to be a larger conflict with the Imperial Remnant. That conflict can't just mirror what we've seen before. It has to take a different shape. It can't just be the Empire versus what looks like the Rebellion, or even the Republic. And this implies Thrawn's forces, Hux's forces, all of those that oppose the New Republic, are gonna take a different strategy." And this ties into a theory I had back in 2021. Dave Filoni is gonna make cloning one of the biggest aspects of the Mandoverse. Not just the Gideon clones, and not just what Hux is doing, but maybe something Thrawn is concocting too. I wouldn't be surprised if Mount Tantiss comes into live action, creating an even bigger connection to the Bad Batch. Dave acknowledges the Star Wars movie problem up until now, notably under Disney, complains that The Force Awakens was a rehash of A New Hope, and he knows that Star Wars fans are notoriously hard to please. So Filoni's task is not going to be easy. He's got his work cut out for him, but at the same time, The Mandalorian is one of the most popular shows on Disney+. There are already millions of fans who are waiting with bated breath for an on-screen appearance of our favourite dad and son duo. You have one side of fans saying they stand with Filoni, in Filoni we trust, and yet another faction who say they don't trust his vision at all. But if I were to predict, from the upcoming slate of films, which one is going to appeal to the widest Star Wars demographic, I would say Filoni's film without a doubt. When it comes to large-scale events, like a new Star Wars film, or like a finale, he always packs a punch. He knows how to hit those high notes, those big, epic, galactic-changing scenes and moments. This wow factor that I envision is bringing Luke Skywalker into the fight. But it's going to be used, in my opinion, as a last resort, due to both budgets, but also for that audience-captivating moment. Just like in the Mando Season 2 finale where he takes down the Dark Troopers, the Mandalorian movie needs to have this times 100, wiping the floor with the Night Troopers and the army of the undead that's now been planted on Dathomir. I also suspect Han and Leia could be introduced early in the movie, as they're trying to help the New Republic, Mon Mothma, Hera Syndulla, and the priority is to organize and militarize. But the situation will become so dire that Leia has no choice but to contact her brother, and this is another way to capture the heir to the Empire feel. In the movie's climax, Filoni needs to set the tone that involving Luke shows how desperately critical the situation is. He's a busy man, juggling his Jedi Academy with other big missions, but Thrawn's return is signaling the biggest threat the galaxy faces. all of our heroes have to come together. What do you guys think though? Let me know your thoughts on everything we spoke about in the comments down below, and if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next video. May the Force be with you, always.